Hello everyone, here is the channel about sport. Today we will talk about Dagestan fighter Khamzat Chimaev, nicknamed Borz. Khamzat was born in Chechnya and lived until he was 16, but one day Khamzat's brother needed an operation. He and his family went to Malmö where they settled down. Khamzat's Swedish life began at 16. The young man got a job at a factory that produces freezers. The next step in Chimaev's working career was as a security guard in a nightclub. At the same time, Hamzat practiced freestyle wrestling. Khamzat had no equal in freestyle wrestling. At the time of Conor McGregor's hype, Hamzat set a goal to fight in the UFC. He began to compete in local tournaments to make his way into the big sport. So Hamzat's first opponent was the Austrian fighter Marko Kisic. For Hamzat, this fight was an easy walk. He showed how strong he is in standing and fighting. Khamzat was knocking his opponent around all round, and only at the end he beat him until the referee stopped him. Two tournaments later, Hamzat again applies to the Brave organization for the 20th tournament. This time his opponent was the young and experienced Sidney Wheeler. Hamzat, in his own style, wore out his opponent in the parterre and finished him off with hammer fists.
Those are huge strikes! Winner by TKO due to strikes from Chechnya!
As Hamzat himself admits, these debut fights in mixed martial arts were very easy for him. But with each fight, Khamzat's level of opponents increased dramatically. The hype wagon was already starting its way. The next on Khamzat's way was Dagestan fighter Ikram Aliskerov. They fought this fight at the tournament Brave 23. From the first seconds of the fight, Khamzat occupies the center and works as the number one, constantly pressing and attacking Aliskerov. Wow, Hamzat drops Aliskerov with a double and knocks him down, but Aliskerov was able to recover. Hamzat shows a great level of wrestling, but fails to lock his opponent on the canvas. Then the fight goes to the counter, and here comes the denouement of the whole fight. Hamzat switches off his opponent with a counter uppercut, and this is another early victory, and by this point Khamzat's record is 5-0. The Chechen machine is not going to stop and is asking for a new fight from his league. This time he was given a fight against the experienced Hamzat Diaz at the Brave CF27 tournament. From the very first seconds, the Chechen fighter goes to his feet and controls his opponent on the canvas. Hamzat literally wipes the floor with him. In the middle of the second round, Hamzat starts taunting his opponent by dragging him all over the cage like a rag. He picks him up and drops him. It looks very epic. Chechen machine controls its opponent every second. It doesn't let it do anything. Constantly controlling in the fight, Hamzat leaves no chance for his opponent and takes him to the chokehold in the third round. Hamzat Diaz falls asleep after a bald cobra hold.
He's out!
Hamzat proved his superiority and dominant position in all his fights, finishing his last fights only by knockouts. The fight was still training in Sweden, but after his last fight he was noticed by Dana White himself and sent him a contract for 2 fights. Immediately he flew to the UFC base and had his first fight with the most experienced John Phillips. Before that signing, Hamzat was attending a camp in Tile and to prepare for the upcoming confrontations. This is footage from training. Khamzat also talked to journalists and spoke about the level of fighters in Tile and in the camp where he is training. Hamzat's training was successful and he breaks into his UFC debut. His nickname Borz appears again in his description. The real Chechen Wolf is out on the hunt.
Push, fighting out of the blue corner, an undefeated mixed martial artist holding a perfect professional record, Khamzat Chimaev.
Southpaw stance in black. Hamzat.
In the first seconds, Chimaev hits a mid-kick in his style and instantly passes to his opponent's feet. Leaving him no chance on the canvas, he controls his every move. Throughout the first round, Chimaev beat his opponent on the canvas and took him to the choke a couple of times, but unsuccessfully. Chimaev leaves no chance for his opponent and doesn't let him do anything. The entire first round is a struggle. At halftime, Chimaev looked great and even smiled. In the second round, Hamzat did everything in his style, going to his feet from the first seconds, taking his back and taking a choke hold at the net. And that's another easy win from Hamzat. He's starting to climb in the rankings.
Due to a Darce choke, Khamzat Chimaev.
Khamzat Chimaev.
After the victory, Chimaev approached Dana White and asked for a more serious level of competition and that he would bring order to this weight. Dana heard Chimaev, and in 10 days, Hamzat is already out in the next tournament. This time his opponent was charismatic. Each fight of Hamzat's becomes more and more serious. Charismatic, unexperienced, and with a good record, this guy is a good test of all Chimaev's qualities.
TKO and still undefeated, Hamzat.
What's that in 2 fights? He's taken no punches.
Chimaev once again proved his superiority, and with a record of 8-0, he was already confidently pacing all the fighters. Hamzat was showing that he needed the belt. If everything continues in the same manner, Chimaev is a real contender for the belt, and Chimaev's hype train began to pick up speed. All of Chimaev's fights are backed up by trash talk to raise the hype, viewers, and excitement for the Chechen's personality. But he really deserves the glory. Dana White decides to test Chimaev and give him a very experienced top 10 guy. His name is Gerald Mearskirt, and his record is 3,113.
You think you're a black belt? If you choke me out, I'll find a black belt, give it to you. How about that?
If I choke you out, I will finish with this sport.
Okay, if I double...
Hamzat went through a camp at the UFC for 2 months, and he's ready to go out hunting.
Just like that, Khamzat Chimaev, one and done. But Khamzat Chimaev had said he wanted to show off the striking, did tonight. Oh, too fast.
Hamzat Chimaev.
I hope you weren't.
I mean, one shot, amazing. What can you say about this guy and what
he
he's
didn't do it in his style. Just one punch and his opponent went down. Chimaev has really cranked up his rankings and now deserves top 5 fighters to get ahead of his place in the contenders race for the belt. Ongli Ongli was next to stand in the way of the irrepressible Hamzat. This guy at the conference promised to punish Hamzat for his words. Let's see how this fight turned out.
Are you ready? You ready? Fight!
Intensity personified on both sides. Li Jingliang in red, Khamzat Chimaev in black with an early shot.
Oh, nice defense by Li. Oh, nice job by Chimaev. Oh my goodness! He's talking to Dana. Oh my goodness! Wow!
Look at what this Chechen is doing. He went to the steps and picked up the Chinaman, brought him to Dana White, and started talking to him. Chimaev has amazing skills in fighting and controlling his opponent.
I understand when you step into the octagon.
Everybody, I come here for everybody. Kill everybody. I'm the jab, I'm the kick, kill everybody. Ah!
Ladies and gentlemen, he has given up one
So
strike.
Chimaev once again raised a strong wave of hype in his direction. Yeah, this guy just took his opponent to the net and talked to Dana. He's really crazy. He asks for any opponent. He goes on a winning streak. Hamzat deserves top fighters, and before the best fighters in his weight, he gets a good guy, Gilbert Burns, very strong and experienced. Hamzat hasn't fought since his last fight in about half a year, resting and going through training camp. Khamzat shouted everywhere about how he would rip Gilbert Burns, and the hype wagon accelerated even more, and the name Khamzat Chimaev was recognized by more and more people. The press conference for this fight was particularly heated. Burns promised to stop the Chechen Wolf, but he didn't know what he was signing up for yet. This weight race was especially hard for Hamzat, but he coped with it, and he and Burns showed the same weight. This weight race was especially hard for Hamzat, but he coped with it, and he and Burns showed the same weight. Burns promised to smash Chimaev right in the cage. The first round was surprisingly really even. Both fighters attacked well and escalated situations. But at the end of the first round, Hamzat put Burns on the canvas with a clear jab.
Chimaev! Burns trying to fire back.
Trying to swing from his back, which is crazy.
Chimaev had a great first round, and by the judges' notes won it handily. Burns started this round more actively, and in exchanges he hit Hamzat more often. It seemed that, throughout the fight, Burns tried to move Hamzat to the parterre and test his skills there, but all ended up defending Hamzat. On the exchange at the end of the round to meet Hamzat misses a punch, and it was like a standing knockdown. Chimaev was able to stand. At the end of the second round, after a missed overhand, Chimaev miraculously managed to escape. He was very close to a deft knockout and stopping the fight. At the expense of the knockdown, the second round went to Burns. The third round is decisive by the notes. Whoever wins it wins.
Both guys laying it out there.
Bad.
Clubbing with that right hand, boy. You gotta watch out when you're swinging like that. Fight, man. Oh!
Big right hand by Burns.
And another crack. Hamzat. What a fight! Khamzat Chimaev.
What a fight these two knights showed. Burns showed very decent opposition to Chimaev and was close to finish him, but Chimaev won the third round and got his hand raised.
Everybody, I come here for everybody. Kill everybody.
Boers proved that he is not a worthy fighter to fight for the title. After the Burns fight, everyone realized how serious Chimaev is. Now Chimaev only wants to fight Diaz, and that fight would happen. But Chimaev failed the weight race, and he was given a middleweight contender, and that's Kevin Holland. First seconds, Chimaev took the takedown. A couple of seconds later, he took the choke, and as expected, Holland was no match for him. He strangled him in 20 seconds. Now Chimaev is expecting a challenger fight, and no more fights at intermediate weight, because for Chimaev, guys like Holland are easy money. Friends, thanks for watching. Leave reactions and comments. Sports for all.